You smell really good. Nighttime in Milan always carried the faint scent of fermented grapesweet, intoxicating, and enough to make anyone lightheaded. After dinner, Aurora Shen wandered aimlessly around the city center with her friends before they eventually drifted into a bar. Velvet Room, the most famous nightlife spot in the city, once an abandoned church, turned into a club. The exterior walls had an industrial concrete style, and the entrance held nothing but a single old bronze bell. Rumor said the place was full of handsome men, well-known figures, and even more intriguing whispers. Tomorrow, they would return to Florence. Their short exchange trip was nearly over. Everyone wanted to burn through their remaining energy on the last night. The moment they pushed the door open, chaotic music poured out, swallowing them whole into another world. The bass shook the air. Green lights flashed wildly. On the dance floor, young bodies tangled, hair whipping, sweat mixing with the heat of seductive perfume. A crystal disco ball spun overhead, scattering shards of diamond-like light everywhere. Aurora's friends plunged straight into the crowd, dancing wildly. She ordered a tequila, sat on a high stool at the bar, and fixed her eyes on the half-naked DJ on stage, her gaze openly mischievous. Tonight, she dressed simply: a white corset tube top, low-waisted brown shorts, matching cowboy boots. One foot on the ground, the other hooked on the chair. Her body, trained through martial arts, was strong, especially her back with defined lines, toned arms, and muscles that looked beautifully untamed. But when she smiled, her fox-shaped eyes softened into something radiant and sensual. Within minutes, several men approached her. She simply smiled, said, "Hello, goodbye," raised her glass, and turned away. She hated boring opening lines the most. The alcohol began warming her cheeks. Just then, Lydia Lin rushed from the dance floor and whispered into her ear, "Aurora, look to your right. That seat." Aurora followed her gaze. A man sat in the corner, half hidden behind a deep red curtain, the lighting revealing only fragments of his features. He leaned back on the sofa, long legs crossed, relaxed, yet distant. A simple white Cuban collar shirt, sleeves rolled to the elbows, a refined watch at his wrist. Behind thin-framed glasses were deep, unreadable eyes, an East Asian face cool and elegant, like a cup of premium tea in the middle of chaos. His lips curved slightly, a smile like a cold gem hidden in the edge of a blade. A man like that restrained enough to make people want to poke until they found the edge of his patience. Lydia nudged her. "Tonight, you have to try. It's the last night." Their Western friends shouted to, "Go, Aurora. If you get him to talk to you in 10 minutes, we'll buy you afternoon tea for a month." Aurora glanced at the man again, her lips curling. 8 minutes. She set down her glass, tugged her shorts, slightly revealing just a hint of toned waistband, slipped through the crowd, toward the corner. But before she could reach him, 2 bodyguards blocked her path. "Sorry, miss, this area is private." Aurora stopped, tilted her head, voice soft like a lazy cat. "I only want to say hello, no harm." She raised both hands playfully. "See, I didn't even bring a dagger." The guards looked conflicted. At that moment, the man finally spoke, voice calm. "Let her in." They immediately stepped aside. Aurora approached, leaning forward to look at him, her smile half drunk, half mischievous. "Hi, can I ask you for a favor?" Her friends in the distance began screaming. She sat down. Oh no, she got up again. That fast. Not even 8 minutes later, the man stood up. Aurora followed as they walked toward the exit. He didn't touch her, but his steps created just enough space for her to walk beside him. Passing her friend's table, Aurora only raised her brows slightly, hand gesturing. Mission accomplished. The night breeze swept past, warm and humid. Aurora sat in the passenger seat of the convertible, legs crossed and stretched out. The moment they left the bar, the alcohol swirled in her body, making her slightly dizzy. She leaned into the seat, one hand resting on the door, eyes never leaving the man driving. Streetlights traveled across his face-sharp nose, deep-set eyes, thin lips pressed into something cold, yet magnetic. She watched him for a long time. Finally, he tilted his head lazily. Why do you keep staring at me? She answered without thinking. Because you're good looking. He let out a soft laugh and looked forward again. The car glided into the darkness of Milan, carrying with it a trace of drunken heat and a story just beginning. The wind blew harder, lifting Aurora's long black hair. She tilted her head, eyes hazy like waves glittering in the breeze. Didn't you say your ex-boyfriend was also in the bar? The man suddenly spoke, voice low with a hint of teasing. When you dragged me out, you said you wanted to get back at him. So tell me, how did he bully you? Aurora stiffened slightly. She didn't expect him to bring it up, but his eyes suggested he'd been waiting for that question. She smiled softly, the corners of her eyes tinged pink from warmth and wine. Do you really think I chose you just to annoy my ex? He raised a brow. Isn't that the case? She looked directly at him, her voice slow. I just wanted him to know I found someone much more handsome than he ever was. The most attractive man in the bar, cold, hard to approach. Anyone can tell you're not easy. She added, half joking, half serious. Using you to satisfy a bit of my petty vanity. Isn't that fair? He chuckled. The car stopped along a mountain road. He turned to her, eyes sharp enough to slice the night. So you seduced me just for that? Aurora leaned closer, her floral perfume mixed with the faint scent of alcohol drifting between them. She met his eyes, voice small but clear. You knew exactly what my intentions were. Yet you still came with me. So are you any cleaner than I am? He didn't answer, just smiled. The air changed. Aurora was flushed and dizzy. Every time she moved, her top slid slightly, revealing bare skin, accidental but dangerously tempting. Instead of avoiding him, she leaned closer, biting her lower lip, whispering, Tell me, do you want to sleep with me? He paused, lips twitching. Your alcohol tolerance is terrible. Really? Who said I can't drink? She narrowed her eyes, voice soft and languid. So, what do you want? He didn't answer. He stepped on the gas. The convertible stopped under the porch of a villa, warm yellow lights swaying in the wind. Below, a lake shimmered like spilled ink. Aurora leaned against the railing, hair tangled, eyes unfocused. Hey, she called. Horse, where are you taking me? The Adrian Wu leaned against the opposite railing, lighting a cigarette, but didn't answer yet. The flame highlighted the sculpted lines of his face, the muscles under his shirt impossible to ignore. He exhaled, voice casual. A hotel? Before she could react, she wobbled and fell. He instantly crushed the cigarette and caught her just enough strength to pull her against him, her chest pressed to his firm body. His scent was intoxicating, making her hazy mind even weaker. You really smell good, she murmured, thoroughly pleased. He steadied her shoulders, trying to keep some distance, but she leaned even closer, eyes shimmering. Wait, before we sleep together? Have you done health checks? No diseases, right? Especially the kind that spreads. He froze for a second, then actually laughed, exasperated and amused. You're asking that now? She didn't hear a thing. She lowered her gaze, unbuttoning his shirt, fingers brushing his chest without thinking. If you lie to me, I'll be really mad. He caught her hand. Are you even conscious right now? She stared at him, then suddenly smiled bright and sharp. You're the type who pretends to be proper, aren't you? You look serious, but really. He raised a brow. Really? What? Instead of answering, she fixated on the cigarette between his fingers. Let me try. He asked if she knew how to smoke. She nodded. He pulled a cigarette, lit it, then held it between his own lips. Smoke curled in the air as he leaned toward her. Aurora stayed still, eyes locked on his face. He took a slow drag, then touched the cigarette to her lips. Try. Her eyes sparkled. She parted her lips, taking the cigarette from him, her mouth brushing lightly across his finger, leaving a faint, damp trace. His finger trembled. Before he could react, she removed the cigarette, lifted his chin gently with one finger, tugged down his tithe, then rose on her toes and kissed him. Her lips pressed against his soft hot, stunning enough to freeze him for a heartbeat. A moment later, reason disappeared. He grabbed her waist and pulled her close, about to deepen the kiss, when she suddenly slipped away. Her eyes were bright with mischief. "This way, it tastes better."